Morning, everybody. Hope you're well. Today, I was going to run by a video with you for an issue with a front camera malfunction. So, I took it to the garage a few weeks ago, and it was very much dismissed as, the car's working okay. Front camera malfunction is the error which I get, and they don't seem to be very aware. The garage don't seem to be very aware of the consequences of the front camera not working. They just think it's a gimmicky thing, when actually, so first of all, the message never goes. That's the first thing to note. So it's really, really frustrating to not be able to see the view properly. That's one thing. The next notice you get is pre-collision assist doesn't work. So because it can't see in front of you, it can't automatically brake. Next consequence of that is as you drive, it can't go into cruise control because it can't automatically stop. Because it can't see in front of you, cruise control doesn't work. That can't be used either. The lights automatically dimming, which is something which I love in the Mustang, in the Mach-E, where you're driving along at night and it automatically dims. Again, doesn't work because it can't see in front of you. Lane assist, it can't switch lanes because it can't see the lines. So there's actually quite a length of things that, I've had the problem for about 3 or 4 weeks now, and it's been the garage, like I say, they just see it as a small thing not working, but actually the consequence of the knock-on effect of that front camera is quite significant, and it's very much, I do find it quite frustrating. Certainly in the UK, I find the service levels around the Mustang are pretty much pretty poor on EVs. I'm told across the whole industry, really, of that every garage, all the BMWs, Audis, Mercedes, all these people, engineers have got to be specifically trained to work on the car. And I've had something as simple as a casing off the rear light come disconnected and rattling in the back of the car, which is clearly very, very mechanical and very mundane. And there are two engineers, quite a big Ford garage I go to where I live, and they only have 2 engineers, and I just generally find that the engineers' trade as such is they're mechanical people, and there's nothing wrong with mechanical people with bearings and nuts and bolts and squeaks and noises and that kind of thing, and that's great. But we're in a different era now. I think garages need to take a more kind of consultative approach, and they need to have somebody more. I've had particular issue with firmware updates, and that's very much the attitude you get. Well, it's only a piece of software. It still drives okay, doesn't it? But I think the buyer that we are now, I think the buyer in the people that like electric cars like them because the tech, they like the technology, they like the gadgetry, they like the functionality, and I have a firmware update which hasn't been. It doesn't operate functionally. I know there was a lot of hype around the new version of software and a couple of features coming on, like when you press and hold the power button, the screen goes to sleep, so the date and time comes on, so you don't have to go through a 4 or 5 step process to get to that bit, which I really liked. And a stupid app, but it becomes, in my mind, it becomes more about, it's just the fact that something doesn't work. And it says I've got the latest software update, and I know it hasn't because it hasn't got these particular functions. But the garage, when you speak to a garage, they just say, well, it's only a piece of software, isn't it? It still drives okay, you can still brake, you can still turn the lights on, etc, etc. Anyway, apologies, it's getting a bit ranty, but it's just a bit of just a few things to note, I think, generally about the industry. There aren't enough mechanical engineers out there they're specifically trained on electrical vehicles, but because of the powertrain, and everybody talks about how dangerous it is to play with cars, the electric cars, so they have to be able to get shut down, etc. So I just think that there aren't really enough mechanical engineers specific. And if I was a buyer now, I'd probably be asking a garage how many engineers they have which are trained on pure electric vehicles, because it is critical. Even when a casing comes off a camera, off a light, not any engineer can touch it. You have to be specifically trained, no matter what the problem is, to touch an EV. So when you've only got 2 engineers out of 30 who can touch a car, then it's going to affect the levels of service. And the things you used to go into a garage for, the little niggly bits, which are just frustrations, those services aren't readily available. There isn't somebody there to do that. These people are snowed under with issues because there's only 2 engineers. They need to invest heavily in training more engineers, getting a different caliber engineer as well, who are more technically aware about software, firmware, and into operating systems and the such, and really talk about the benefits of an operating system, as well as the usual boring stuff of distance, range, how often do I need to charge it, all these questions. So anyway, I apologize, a bit ranty this morning, but it's just been frustrating, and I wanted to post this because I'm on the way into the garage this morning to get the camera repaired, so hopefully that'll solve the issue. But I certainly think that these people should take notice. The consequence of something like this front camera, amazing how much effect it has on the running of a vehicle. So anyway, I hope you all have a good day. Sorry to be a bit ranty at this time in the morning, and take care. Bye just now. Goodbye. It's face to face now. Goodbye.